But let me tell you something personally about Joe. Joe actually grew up in Wyckoff. So he's a Wyckoff young man. He went to school with Carol Rush. She was the teacher. Right, Carol? No, you weren't the teacher? Huh? Carol was the teacher. This is a few years ago, right, Carol? First thing he said when he saw Carol was, "You look just the same." Of course, Joe also wears glasses, if you noticed. He's married, lives in Midland Park. He's right here on the border. He's been a volunteer firefighter here in town for 26 years. So that's quite dedication. He's our current fire chief, and he's also second in command at our DPW in town. So we know where to reach him. Hopefully, alarm won't go off. But without further ado, please welcome Joe Vander Plaat.
Thank you, Tom. You'll have to have you be the comedian next time. So one of our biggest struggles in the fire department is not everybody realizes that we're 100% volunteer. 24/7, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. So anytime we have the opportunity to get out and talk to residents, business owners, that's one of the items that we'd like to emphasize on, is that we are 100% volunteer. We get no commission to be a volunteer. Year to date, we ran 488 calls, and on average, we run 650. And that's all volunteers. So on average, it's two calls a day. Some days we have 0, some days we have 10. The membership consists of many walks of life, from 16 to 93. And our 93-year-old still shows up to the firehouse every day to see what's going on and to check in on the youth. Some of our volunteers, such as myself, hold the honor of being a third-generation firefighter. My grandfather, my father, got to serve alongside of my father, and my grandfather was there until a couple years ago. To be a member of the fire department, you must either live in Wyckoff, live in a bordering town to Wyckoff, or work in Wyckoff. So if you have businesses in town, if you have businesses that surround Wyckoff, and you have employees that are firefighters in other towns or have an interest in being a firefighter, please encourage them to stop by, reach out to Tom, myself, through the town website, Facebook, because we're always looking for membership. That's one of our biggest struggles, not only educating the members that we're volunteers so we get donations, but also to maintain our ranks. Sorry, I lost my track. So the junior program, if you have any children or youth that are in high school, 16 years or older, they're eligible to join the fire department as a junior. We send them through fire school free of charge. Obviously, if they're under 17, they need to get a ride. But we do allow them to join the ranks at 16. They do go to the fire school up in Bergen County. And then on their 18th birthday, they receive their certificate, allowing them to be a registered firefighter 1 in the state of New Jersey, and the national boards, which is different than when I went. When I went, it was a local program and it wasn't recognized. And if I changed states, I had to redo it all over again. But now the Bergen County Academy is nationally recognized. So we encourage those 16-year-olds, if you have any neighbors, kids from school, any connection that you have, and that youth is what we're relying on, right? Unfortunately, the fire program is like a college course. It's 6 months long, 2 nights a week, or if you can do it during the summer, we have a lot of high school kids that have come in that are involved in football now and baseball and sports. And they're like, "Oh, chief, I can't go to fire school." It's like, well, what are you doing over the summer? Fortunately, in our area, a lot of them don't work. So summer class, they do 2 summer classes in that 2 or 3 month period of summer break. So we are able to get them to fire school. And if we can educate them and get them certified now while they're young and they have time and they don't have families and they're not tied up in business, usually they stick around through college. Some of them, we are fortunate. We have Chris Joachim started as one of our juniors, and now he's a battalion chief or ex-battalion chief in Company 2. And Jimmy Villapiano, a young gentleman, started at 16. He's now bought a house in Millen Park right down the street, and he's an officer in Company 1. But if they don't stick around, we've at least provided another community, educated people, so that they're able to carry their tradition, because it is hard to get members to join and get them trained. We have different types of members. A full firefighter is somebody who's over the age of 18, has gone through fire school, and is able to fight fires. We have a junior firefighter who has gone through fire school or is aiming to go through fire school, but isn't fire trained and can't go inside. And then we have our fire police. We have a strong group of members that either went through fire, were firemen, and just can't go inside anymore, or they're older members in the community that want to participate and assist us, and they go out and they direct traffic. So they usually show up in their personal vehicle, they shut down the roads, they help provide directions for incoming mutual aid, and assist the police department. They're not cops, they don't carry guns, but they do have to go through a couple-hour course in traffic safety and whatnot. We also have our communication operators. So we have in Wyckoff, we hold the Northwest Bergen Communication Center. So again, 100% volunteer. If there's a fire within the 14 surrounding towns of us, so basically from Fairlawn all the way up to the New York State border, these gentlemen go in, they man the radio desk, and they assist in coordinating resources and monitoring the radio. And then they're also in service for every call that happens in Wyckoff. So we have the communications, the fire police, and then the firefighters that actually get to ride in a fire truck. There is no age limit. Well, 16 to start, but there is no age limit to that you have to not join, or that you can't join past. Now, to join the state relief, they've extended the age to 57. So that's a whole nother story. Once you get into it, I can give you more information. The department structure. So I'm the department chief, and I have an assistant chief, Dave Murphy, who happens to be the police chief this year, or happens to be the police chief, and this year he's the assistant chief. So we manage the department. We report directly to Tom and the township committee and the business administrator. And then we have 3 individual companies. Company 1 is located behind Town Hall. Company 2 is down by Coolidge School, right on Wyckoff Ave. And then Company 3 is located up on Sycamac by Russell and Sycamac. So each individual company is their own little house that Dave and I oversee. Within that company, they each have their own group of elected officers from their members. They all do their own fundraising to help pay for their own buildings, some of their equipment and whatnot. And then the town buys the fire trucks, and then they buy their stuff for within their homes. So a lot of times people like, oh, how come I keep getting all these fund drive letters, especially the businesses? Well, in theory, you could potentially get 4 fund drive letters from the Wyckoff Fire Department. You could get one from each company as a business and one directly from the department. And that money each company keeps their own money, and then Dave and I have our account, and that goes out as needed to the other companies. We just had Company 1 just had an awesome party. I know Frederick was there, and Gordon, at the beach party at the YMCA every year, the Thursday after Labor Day. They do a huge beach party at the Y. Very successful event. 500 of our closest friends come out and hang out with us. You're all looking at flyers right now on the tables. Company 3 is having their fundraiser tonight. It's a wine tasting event. Just happened to be a coincidence that they set up before. Not that we're trying to push that on you, but if you aren't doing anything tonight, there's an opportunity to support Company 3. We had the fireworks that Tom mentioned. We look for donors to keep the fireworks continuing. It's a very difficult fundraiser to maintain. It's very expensive. The town was gracious enough to offset part of the cost, and then we had Lakeland Bank and ShopRite that assisted us with that. But we're always looking for donors for future fireworks if we continue to go that route, because to maintain that awesome event is definitely a struggle. And as you mentioned, getting volunteers to come out and help isn't only your struggle. You know, it's the 80-20 rule. It's very difficult to get people. Everybody likes to have the logo and wear the t-shirt, but to actually have participation is a commitment. And I thank you guys for coming out and committing to the Rotary Club, because the fact that you're here is half the battle. We meet every Monday night. The fire department is a commitment. So every Monday night, except on the major holidays, we're at the firehouse. We can be seen at the firehouse as early as 6:30. That's usually when I get there to meet with the treasurer and go over stuff and handle internal business. And then we're out on the road, training, drilling, flowing water, cutting up cars, doing education. And that's from 7 to 9. Most firehouses at the end, one of the perks is that you get fed at the end of the event. So you guys do coffee before, and I know with COVID, some of the rules have changed. But we have in-house cooks. They go out, they solicit food. If you guys ever want to donate a meal, just reach out to myself or whatever. And some of the firehouses, Tom never misses a meal. See, I should have been the comedian, right? He's always there. Him and Rudy never miss a meal, always showing their face, supporting the group. And we thank you for that.
Stay hydrated while I'm there.
Yes. You know? So if you can't join, we would encourage, you know, residents and yourselves to donate. Each firehouse has their own fundraisers. The department has a Venmo and a PayPal account. We can be found on our website. So it's Venmo at Wyckoff Fire Department. And then it's PayPal at Wyckoff Fire. Right? Did that work? Yes, the whole word. And then the fireworks ones, I'd have to look on the banner, but I think it's.
I found that was just Wyckoff Fireworks.
Right. Yep.
So Wyckoff Fire Department is Venmo and Wyckoff Fire is PayPal.
Yep.
All right, thank you.
And check, and we are a registered 501c3, so any donations are tax exempt. Now we and some businesses, if you belong to a larger corporation, such as Beck and Dickinson, is up 208, right? So Beck and Dickinson has several employees that work in town or live in town. So those employees that live in town have graciously, similar to your Smile account on Amazon, they have listed the Wyckoff Fire Department as their donor. So we automatically get a check from Beck and Dickinson quarter or once a month from the employees that make contributions, and they do a matching donation. Mercedes does it. There's some big corporations. So if you happen to work for a large corporation, maybe you look into the matching donation that your business would then also assist with that. That's always, that's a simple, you're making a donation. Why not have your company match it? Yes. The question was, do we have any female members?
Yep.
Yes. There are 2 husband and wife. Chris Joachim works for Columbia Bank, and his wife Stacy works for the YMCA. They are both active members, although Stacy's a little bit not as active now because they just had a newborn that's less than a year old. And the same with the Tanneys, Matt Tanney and Nicole Tanney. Nicole is a policewoman officer in Franklin Lakes, and Matt grew up in town. They married. We also have Julia DeCourt. Now she's away in college. We had a lady by the name of Bernadette. She recently just joined the military, and she went into the military, so she's proudly serving our country. Heather Prime, she is a third generation up in Sycamac in Company 3. So yes, we've had several females. A couple of them, like Julia, started as a junior in high school with her cousin. They joined together, and she still continues to respond with us.
That's awesome. So thank you for that. The second question is, I was interested to hear about your governmental structure in terms of you have the fire department and then you have each of the individual houses. What happens if you have too many volunteers in one and not enough volunteers in another? How do you migrate the talent among those three? And then from a financial perspective, what if you have one that successfully raises a ton of money, but the others maybe not so? So how do you allocate resources among the three different firehouses?
Russ is from Midland Park, so that was not a setup question.
So Midland Park is fortunate. They're a very simple company. Midland Park has one firehouse, one set of chiefs, and 10 different cliques. So on the financial end, because that's the easiest, the money that you raise within your company stays within your company. If you need financial assistance due to a lack of funds, then they come to the department, and the department can help offset it. And depending on the expense that they're looking for, we can go to the town and ask for some financial assistance in the company levels. The town buys all of our firefighting equipment. We are blessed with an awesome community, an awesome council. Very seldom do we ever ask for anything that we don't get. It's usually just not on our schedule, which causes a little bit of frustration. But at the end of the day, we usually get everything that we want. They do force us to work for it. So let me just, and his second question about membership, we haven't needed to address that yet. We've always been blessed with enough volunteers. We do have a great struggle in the Coolidge section with maintaining for whatever reason. That's our biggest need right now for membership. So especially if anybody knows anybody in the Coolidge section or any of the towns that border that, Midland Park, Hawthorne, that would want to be or are interested in being a volunteer. I know Midland Park just did a drill the other night down off of Park Ave. One of the residents donated their house for training. So if anybody's demoing a house or knows of a house being demoed, we're always looking for training opportunities. We can't light them on fire, but we can certainly smoke them out, break the windows, cut the roofs, make it a mess. The young kids love being bulls in china shops. But they had a paid fireman, and I think it was Patterson, I'm not 100% sure, lived down the block, walked down the street to be nosy, saw the flashing lights, and then Midland Park picked up a paid fireman, which is awesome. It's somebody that's already trained, somebody that's usually around during the day. You know, cops and firemen have great schedules. You know, they work one day and they're off for 5. Now that's a joke, but they do have a more flexible schedule than the people that work 9 to 5 and never around during the day or commute in and out of the city. So we do have an issue that's slowly arising, but we haven't needed to tell people, you know, no, you need to go here. I've heard of communities doing it, but they continue to be able to get their fire trucks out the door. So did that answer the question on?
I was just fascinated by that because, you know, you're one community, but you're running like 3 different fiefdoms. And I was just wondering how you allocate resources if you have weakness in one and great strength in
So
another.
years ago when I first joined.
Oh, hold on. I thought we were done.
So years ago when I first joined, when and you've all heard the fire whistle, and some people think it's annoying, some people think it's the greatest thing since sliced bread. Some people, you know, that's the time for the kids to come home when it starts to get dark. When the pager, and I carry a pager on me, the phone goes off, the fire whistle goes off, because technology isn't always reliable. So we have multiple facets on dispatching and getting our members to respond. But when I first started, we did a lot of individual company calls. So if there was a brush fire or a car fire or a CO alarm, or even just a general alarm, we would dispatch one company to take that if it was in their area. What we have needed to do is go to a general alarm, which brings all three firehouses at the same time. And that's why you hear fire trucks responding from all different sides of town, because we don't know when one firehouse isn't going to get somebody to show up. Because there are times, especially during the day, that sometimes the Tuesdays seem to be the worst, that not always can the firehouse get enough guys to put the engine on the road. We always get something. It's just not, there's always, there are times that we may not get something out of one of the houses.
All right, we are running short on time. Well, will you let me speak, please? So if you need to leave, you're not being rude. Just get up and excuse yourself. But whoever wants to stay, we'll continue with some questions.
I love the way Carl Koffler posts pictures of the fires. I mean, it may be a little weird, but I'm in Sherwood the other day. He put, the garage on. And I also love the flag idea. And Lisa Ciampo was so nice to do that. Yeah.
So for those that don't know, all right, so we also have a ladies auxiliary. So you don't have to be a wife or a daughter of a fireman if you're a female, and I guess you technically don't even have to be a female. But if you want to help in a support function, they normally meet once a month. Now with COVID and whatnot, they've been doing a lot of Zoom, similar to you guys. So the ladies did a fundraiser for 9/11, and they sold 3,000 flags.
Wow. Yeah.
So the little flags that you saw on the side of the road on the sidewalks was an event from Lisa Russo, who is a third generation. Her husband's a fireman. Her daughter's on the ladies auxiliary. Neighbors, Duran, born and raised in Wyckoff. So yeah, they did that. They did an awesome fundraiser with the flags, and they did, the last time they did that was at the 10-year anniversary. So that was a very nice tribute. And we also do the 9/11 service, for those that don't know, right in front of the firehouse.
Right, and he has a question yet, but John's been waiting very patiently on Zoom. Go ahead, John.
I think that the sirens are a good thing because it gives me the clue if I'm driving town to watch out for volunteers going to the firehouse. I think it's a good idea. My comment. But the question I had for you is just how does the fire department in Wyckoff work with the volunteer ambulance corps? That's also another big volunteer organization in town. So to go on joint calls, or how does it exactly work between your two organizations?
So the ambulance corps and the fire department are two separate organizations. The ambulance corps does their own fundraiser. They have their own officers. They manage their own funds. They buy their own ambulances. And the fire department is separate. We do obviously merge on calls, vehicle accidents, anytime they have somebody that they need assistance. I know the ambulance corps is always, they're probably hurting for members more than we are at this time because of the COVID scare. A lot of people hit after that, but we do assist them with driver lifters and anytime they call us, but they would be dispatched by themselves. And then if they needed further assistance, they would then reach out to us and we would respond to help. But fundraising and membership, they're two completely separate organizations. It's like the Rotary and the Lions Club. You may pal up on an event, but you're separate organizations.
Yes, they are. Thank you.
It's exciting to hear you, Joe. While I'm listening to you, I was thinking if we invite you to the Interact Club at the high school, because we have a lot of young people, maybe will be interesting. I think you are perfect for young people to grab their ideas, and okay, we could do that. We could set appointment with you, or what do you think?
So, yeah, again, our biggest issue is that we're volunteers, right? So I live in Midland Park, born and raised in Wyckoff. Now I'm fortunate. I work for the road department in Wyckoff. So Mr. Madigan's my boss. So Tom says, Joe, you're coming to the meeting? I'm coming to the meeting. Tom says I'm coming to interact. I'm going to interact. But it's, our juniors are in school during the day. And a lot of our volunteers are at work during the day. So a lot of these daytime events or morning events sometimes can be a struggle. But we can try to get together, pick a date and see if I can get somebody to, because we are fortunate. We also have paid firemen. We have New York City firemen that were members here, went to New York City and they still stay around and volunteer because their parents own businesses in town or whatnot. So I have a limited crew during the day. And I will certainly see what my schedule is to try to pick a date and try to get something like that. But that's where getting that education out to our younger generation, those kids in Eisenhower, and I don't know which school they would be in, EC or St. Elizabeth's, but trying to capture those kids in that 16 years or 15 to say, hey, if you have an interest in volunteering and being a part of your community, please consider us as one of your events that you do. Sports take up a tremendous amount of time, so it's hard to get the sports kids. But if we can get one kid, then he can bring a friend, and then he can bring a friend, and he can grab a neighbor. It's great. It's just like, I'm sure it's just like your organization. If you can make one connection through one business in town and have one resident come in, and then he brings his neighbor because it's to a great cause, it makes it easier. But it is certainly a struggle, and always looking for opportunities to get the youth involved.
We're going to do one more question.
We had the sad song. His son just graduated.
Yeah, I just want to kind of bring it home. First of all, there's two quick things I want to say. Joe, you did a great job, first of all. Really appreciate everything you do and all the firefighters do for us. But just two quick things. It's interesting. We talk about, we like to volunteer. We talk about, we pick our spots, and some people can help out more than others. I think the fire department is a great example. There's a couple of new guys that have joined the fire department that are 50 years old. All right. And they never got the opportunity to help out on the trucks, but two of them volunteer and help out in the radio room. Another guy helps out in the kitchen because they work every week, every Monday night, and they'll have drills. And then the guys come in and they get something to eat and get a little fellowship. So there's other ways you can to volunteer, not only within the fire department, but we need to think about that as well. And the last thing I'd be remiss, Gordon Stanley is probably one of the most outstanding all-time, not only volunteer firefighter, you were a chief and a fire commissioner. So thanks to Gordon and all his years of service to our town and the fire department. Right,
All righty. I'm going to hand the mic back over to Russ unless you got final closing comments.
Sure. So Gordon's one of two firemen that went from firefighter to chief to town council to fire commissioner to mayor. And Gordon and Rick Allenor were those two members. So just in conclusion, I just want to leave you with this, and it probably suits for your group as well, is that there's no greater honor than serving your community and your neighbor. And I just want to let you know, there's never been a call that's ever gone unanswered in Wyckoff or Midland Park. And I want to speak on behalf of Jay and Matt, but we are truly dedicated to the community, and we're always there for any assistance. We're the guy, when your broken water pipe calls, you call the fire department. When the cops show up and they don't know what to do, they call the fire department. When the ambulance corps shows up and they don't know what to do, they call the fire department. We're like your fix-all. And we're proud to serve, the residents, and we're always there. And don't ever feel embarrassed or ashamed to say, hey, I think I need the fire department. We'd rather show up and have it be nothing than have it be something.
Yeah.
So Thank you for the opportunity.